Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Dakota, the place where we uncover the hidden stories in company filings to see if your favorite companies are as good as they look. Today we're diving into Fulton Financial Corporation's latest filing, and let's just say they've given us a peek behind the curtain on August 20, 2025 with a new presentation. We'll be looking at what this update means beyond the fancy corporate speak. Alright, so what exactly is going on here? Well, Fulton Financial Corporation has put out what they call a corporate presentation to update everyone on their strategy and how they're doing. Think of it as Fulton giving a progress report to its investors and anyone else watching to see how its business is humming along. It's important to remember that these kinds of presentations are usually designed to put the company in the best possible light, but also to give a real picture of where they stand and where they're headed. This particular filing is a Form 8K, which is like a special announcement from companies when something significant happens. In this case, the significant event is the release of this new corporate presentation. Fulton Financial Corporation is based in Pennsylvania and is publicly traded on the NASDAQ under the ticker symbol FALT. They also have a preferred stock listing under FALT-P. This tells us they are a pretty established company with shares available for anyone to buy and sell on the stock market. Remember that date, August 20, 2025. This is the key date for this report as it's when this new corporate presentation was made available. Now let's get to the meat of it. What's really inside this presentation and what does it tell us? The filing explicitly states that on August 20, 2025, Fulton Financial Corporation posted a new corporate presentation on its investor relations website. This presentation is meant to update previous ones and give an overview of Fulton's strategy and performance. They've also attached it as an exhibit to this report so we can all see it. The thing to understand about these filings is that while they contain important information, the company is very careful about how it's presented. They often include a disclaimer saying that the information isn't legally considered filed in the same way as some other parts of a report. This is a bit of a technicality, but it means they have some protection against certain legal liabilities for this specific disclosure. And speaking of what they say, the report is filled with what are called forward-looking statements. What does that mean? Simply put, these are statements about what the company hopes or expects to happen in the future. They use words like may, should, will, could, estimates, predicts, potential, continue, anticipates, believes, plans, expects, and future. For example, they might say they expect their profits to grow by a certain percentage or that they plan to launch a new product. These statements are based on current beliefs and assumptions about things like the economy and their business. However, because the future is uncertain and many things are outside of Fulton's control, the actual results can be quite different from these predictions. It's like predicting the weather. You can make a good guess based on current conditions, but you can never be 100% sure. So while these give us clues about the company's hopes and plans, it's crucial not to take them as guarantees. The company also mentioned that more detailed information about risks and the factors that could cause actual results to differ from these future predictions can be found in their other reports like their annual report and quarterly reports that are filed with the SEC. They even point to specific sections like risk factors and management's discussion and analysis of financial condition and results of operations. This is standard practice for companies to ensure they comply with disclosure rules and provide a comprehensive view of their business, all the risks included. Finally, the filing lists what exhibits are included with this report. In this case, the only exhibit listed is Exhibit 99.1. which is the corporate presentation itself. So this is the document containing all the new details about Fulton's strategy and performance. Now, while the filing itself doesn't contain financial tables or specific numbers to analyze, we know that this corporate presentation is where those details would be found. In a typical scenario for an 8K like this, where the main event is a presentation, we'd be looking for highlights. In that presentation, maybe some key performance indicators or projections that the company wants to share. Without the actual presentation, we'd be looking for highlights in that presentation, maybe some key performance indicators or projections that the company wants to share. Without the actual presentation, we'd be looking for highlights in that presentation, maybe some key performance indicators or projections that the company wants to share. Without the actual presentation content here, we can't do a deep dive into specific numbers, but we can talk about the implications of releasing such a presentation to company wants to share. Without the actual presentation, we'd be looking for highlights in that presentation. Maybe some key performance indicators or projections that the company wants to share. Without the actual presentation, when a company like Fulton Financial Corporation releases a corporate presentation at a specific time like August 2025, it usually signals a few things. First, it likely means they have some positive news or strategic updates they want to communicate to the market. This could be about strong recent performance, upcoming growth opportunities, or strategic shifts that they believe will lead to future success. Second, it shows that the company is actively managing its investor relations and wants to maintain transparency and engagement with shareholders. However, as we've discussed, these presentations are often curated to present a favourable image. We need to remember to look for the underlying narrative. Are they highlighting growth in core areas? Are they addressing any potential headwinds or challenges? Are their strategies realistic and well supported by their financial capacity? It's all about reading between the lines. For example, if they talk a lot about expanding into new markets, that sounds exciting, but we'd also want to know if they have the capital and the expertise to do that successfully. Think of it this way: if Fulton were a person telling you about their plans for the next year, you'd want to know not just what they plan to do, but also how they plan to do it and what resources they have available to make it happen. This corporate presentation is supposed to provide that sort of information for investors. So what can we surmise even without the specific numbers? If Fulton feels the need to release a fresh corporate presentation, it suggests they have something new and significant to share about their direction or achievements. It could be a response to market conditions, a new competitive development, or simply a regular update to keep investors informed. The emphasis on strategy and performance tells us they want to showcase how they are executing their plans and what results they are achieving. From a broader perspective, Fulton Financial Corporation operates in the banking sector. This means their performance is closely tied to economic conditions, interest rates, and regulatory environments. Any strategic update or performance report will be viewed against this backdrop. For example, if the economy is strong and interest rates are favourable, that's a good environment for banks. If the economy is slowing down or interest rates are unpredictable, that can create challenges. When we see a company put out a presentation like this, it's a signal to pay attention to the details within that presentation. Even though it's not part of this particular 8K filing, the presentation itself is the key. We would be looking for things like their net interest margin, loan growth, deposit trends, and non-performing assets. We'd also be looking at their capital ratios to see how well capitalized they are to weather financial storms. Profitability measures like return on assets and return on equity would also be crucial. In our line of work at Corporate Decoder, we always want to peel back the layers. While a presentation might emphasize growth in one area, we'd also be looking at other financial statements to see if that growth is sustainable and profitable. Are they taking on too much risk to achieve that growth? Are their expenses in line with their revenue? We want to understand the quality of their earnings, not just the quantity. Let's imagine for a moment that this presentation showed a significant increase in earnings. That sounds great, right? But as investors, we'd ask why. Is it a one-time event like selling an asset, or is it from solid organic growth in their banking operations? If it's organic growth, are they seeing an increase in loans or in deposit fees? Are they managing their operating expenses efficiently? If they are projecting strong future performance, are those projections backed by realistic assumptions about loan demand and credit quality? Ultimately, this filing is a gateway to more detailed information. The corporate presentation is the actual source of the story about Fulton's strategy and performance. While we don't have the specifics here, the act of releasing it is noteworthy. It tells us Fulton is actively communicating its narrative to the market. Now, looking at Fulton Financial Corporation as a whole, it's a regional bank. Companies like these often face stiff competition from larger national banks and smaller community banks. Their strategy often involves focusing on specific geographic areas or customer segments. So when they talk about strategy, we want to know what makes them unique and how they plan to win in their chosen markets. Are they leveraging technology to improve customer experience? Are they focusing on a particular type of lending like small business loans or mortgages? The fact that they are publicly traded means they are subject to constant scrutiny. Every quarter, every announcement is analysed by investors, analysts, and competitors. This presentation is part of that ongoing dialogue. So what's my take? Without the actual presentation numbers, it's hard to give a definitive judgment. However, the act of releasing an updated corporate presentation in August 2025 suggests Fulton is focused on communicating its progress and future plans. This is generally a positive sign of proactive management. The key is always to dig into the details of that presentation to understand the drivers of their performance and the realism of their strategic outlook. Are they growing in profitable ways? Are they managing risks effectively? These are the questions we'd be asking when looking at those specifics. For now, we know they are actively engaged in updating investors on their journey, a positive sign of proactive management. The key is always to dig into the details of that presentation to understand the drivers of their performance and the realism of their strategic outlook. Are they growing in profitable ways? Are they managing risks effectively? These are the questions we'd be asking when looking at those specifics. For now, we know they are actively engaged in updating investors on their journey. Alright, that's our breakdown of Fulton Financial Corporation's latest filing. What's your take on the importance of corporate presentations? What details would you be looking for if you had the full presentation? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives into the financial world. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description for more community discussions. Thanks for watching. See you next time.